In this video, I'm going to talk about the essential lines in movement, like the main axis, the thrust and counter thrusts, stability, asymmetry in your lines, and bracelet lines. And it's in my book, Ellen's Guide to Rhythm and Motion, which is only $5 on Amazon. To show movement, we need to identify the main lines of the figure, with diagonal directions having the most energy. Although there are diagonals in walking figures, the overall line is still nearly vertical, so it looks relatively static. The more a line approaches the 45-degree angle with the ground, the more movement it suggests, but also the more imbalance. When the line forms less than a 45-degree angle, there's a good chance that the figure would fall before his back leg could get in front in time to save him. Let's look at these three still lifes to determine how the main lines determine the stability of the picture. So in this first one, it's mainly horizontal and vertical lines, so the image is relatively static. The format is vertical and most of the lines are vertical, so that's the dominant direction. In the second one, there are vertical and diagonal lines. The table is stabilized by vertical lines below it, but there are no horizontal lines. This is more dynamic than the first one. But this third one has mainly diagonals above it and below it, and even on the table, as if it's about to collapse. And there are no vertical or horizontal stabilizers. You can choose any of these possibilities as long as you know what you're showing. Greg Kreutz recommends starting a figure with a curved tube representing the upper chest, and the tube curves the same way the chest is facing. And as with most moving forms, there should be a thrust and then it's met with a counter thrust, here the pelvic curve, so the figure becomes balanced. The S line of action connects the body to the back of the leg. Now the front leg also forms a counter thrust to the chest and the pelvis. Similarly, if a tree bends in one direction, it will have a counter thrust in the other direction for balance. Which way does the spine curve? These drawings show the spine at a 3/4 view from the back, going through the neck, the rib cage, and the pelvis. This first drawing shows straight lines indicating the changes in direction. The second one is a sweeping S curve capturing the fluid movement. And this third one is curves indicated by cylinders showing the direction of the spine. So this is coming toward us, the rib cage is going away from us, and the pelvis is coming toward us. These directions are shown as blocks here, so both C and D give more of a three-dimensional appearance. When you're drawing muscles in a figure like this, use asymmetric curving lines which cause the eye to bounce from one arrow to the next. The arm muscles form C curves starting in the middle of the previous curve. In contrast, if you use symmetrical curves like this, they're static, like a snowman shape, and they aren't associated with movement, and instead they close off each form so there's no flow between them. Lines can circle down a cylindrical shape, and again we want them to stagger rather than having these green lines meet, like the snowman I just showed you. Repetition encourages visual movement. These lines are different lengths and should start and end in different places, as I show you here. They slow down the eye since we view them from side to side as well as up and down, so they're appropriate for complex areas like this back. You can see that these lines here travel in the same general direction but vary in their lengths and their shapes. With foreshortening, one form slightly overlaps another form, which in turn overlaps another one, forming a series of overlapping shapes, leading the eye through the figure. The line of action, this green line, connects these shapes. Overlapping can be applied to large objects like arms and legs and to small forms like fingers and toes, and it provides some depth to the figure. Bracelet lines are contour lines usually around arms and legs, and think of them as ellipses that get flatter and flatter until they become lines at eye level. So you can see here that these are rounder on top and then they get flatter around here, which is probably where eye level is. And even if the shape is not foreshortened, you still see that it gets flatter as it approaches eye level. In this beautiful drawing by George Culp, I redrew the lines so we could see them better. These simple lines show more movement than complex lines would. These red wavy lines go in the same direction and show the most movement. Fingers and toes aren't shown because they would stop that movement. In contrast, the thumb and the knuckle on the left hand is seen because it's stationary, although there still is a gap that permits movement from her left leg up to her arm. We follow the red lines to the green lines along her arms, and then to the blue lines for her upper arm and her head. The blue lines on the back of her left arm and the back of her head are aligned. In other words, they lie on the same line. We follow her gaze down to her right arm and to her left foot to complete the circle. The lines show some details, like a few lines for the hair, some skin folds, and some sense of anatomy. The gap where her knee meets the arm and the implied thigh, as if receding into the picture, connects these three areas together. Check out my book on Amazon, and please remember to subscribe.